John Boy.
Lessons from the screen, what we mean is we go through different documentaries to tell you what they gon' do. Give you our lessons, give them our blessings. If they trash, we tell you there is no second guessing. Knowledge is power, but time is precious, and we're here to keep you from them lessons. So sit back as we groove, giving you the review, so you only spend time on the docs that you need to. Welcome to Lessons from the Screen, the show where we give you a review of whether or not a show, a documentary, or anything that you can get through digital medium is worth watching. We waste our time, our energy, and our brain power so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Lessons from the Screen is brought to you by PackSync through the Freedom Train Network. You can find us on www.freedomtrainradio.com or on Stitcher, iTunes, or Google Play Music. Be sure to head to those places, whichever one you prefer. Give us a review. And be sure to head to packsinc.org. That's www.packsinc.org to show some love and support for our sponsors. PAX Inc. is a black activist and advocacy organization focused on developing the black community through a shift in culture, education, and economics. As always, Lessons from the Screen has a frame of reference and perspective that is aligned with that of the black community. So the things we look at will be looked at with the racial component involved and with some lessons that can be used to improve the community. In 2016, the report, The Ever-Growing Gap Without Change, African American and Latino Families Won't Match White Wealth for Centuries, detailed the fact that it would take black families 228 years to reach the level of wealth of white families today. In 2017, the same organizations that produced that report combined their powers for another report that is even scarier. This report details that unless we make drastic changes, we will find ourselves living in a nation where minorities own less than 1% of this nation's wealth. This is made especially egregious considering the fact that by 2043, most of the population is expected to be non-white. This will effectively and potentially permanently place America in a position of economic segregation. This week, we detail the road to zero wealth. Now, this report, I'm just going to go over this report the same way I would a documentary. I'm not going to go through this thing line by line or section by section like I did the BIE report. It's longer, but it is still something that's very significant. So without further ado, this report starts by stating that middle-class income does not guarantee middle-class security. And it goes into detail by saying the white middle class, which they make $38,000 to $61,000, own 8 times as much wealth. They own $86,000 in wealth as the black middle class, which owns $11,000 in wealth, and 10 times as much wealth as the Latino earners, which own 8.6, or should I say $8,600 in wealth. It goes on to state that if the middle class was defined by wealth instead of income, black families and Latino families would need to earn 2 or 3 times more to be in the middle class. Only blacks and Latinos in the highest income quintile, that means the blacks and Latinos that make more money than 80% of the rest of the blacks and Latinos, will qualify for the middle class status or higher, and only those with advanced degrees. Meanwhile, every white family with a high school diploma would qualify for the middle class. It estimates that by 2024, the median black and Latino households are projected to own 60 to 80% less wealth than they did in 1983. This is expected to have white households owning 99 times more wealth than black households. The median black household is projected to have a wealth percentage of 0 by 2053 unless something is done. It goes on to state that when subtracting for durable goods like automobiles, electronics, furniture, and the median wealth for black families is $1,700. Latino families, $2,000. Then it goes into single parent white households who own more wealth than two parent black households. White high school dropouts own more wealth than college educated blacks. And it goes on to state that all the gains made by black people in wealth accumulation were wiped out by the Great Recession. The report goes on to state that it goes into historical policies that have caused such differences in wealth accumulation, going back to the founding of this nation, starting with chattel slavery and wage theft. Goes into the Homestead Act of 1862, which offered free land to certain individuals. However, many blacks were unable to claim this land due to them not having legal standing or other issues caused by them being black. 20% of the U.S. population can potentially trace their family's history of wealth building to the Homestead Act, which makes that act very interesting. The denial of Social Security to farm workers and domestic workers, which was built into the Social Security Act of 1935. That was impactful because 2/3 of those affected were black. Redlining, which is a policy I'm sure we're all familiar with at this point, a policy of denying services directly or indirectly to residents within a particular area. And even the denial of economic opportunities for service members of color with the failure to properly oversee the administration of the 1944 GI Bill. They also went on to detail the welfare trap that many people face. And for those who don't know, the welfare trap is basically the way the system is set up. You go into welfare to receive aid, help with surviving. And basically, there is no in between. You either qualify or you don't. And anything that you do to try to get yourself out of that situation immediately disqualifies you from large sections of benefits. So if you have a savings account, or you have a vehicle, or you have various other things that you could potentially use to pay your debts or anything of that nature, they disqualify you and bar you from welfare programs, which is a trap because now that you're in the program, you become dependent on the program to survive. And when you start trying to take steps to get out of the program, they start slashing the benefits that the program pays out, which kind of disincentivizes wealth saving or wealth accumulation.